Hello everyone, welcome to Sameksha Academy. Let's read today's newspaper. US brings up irregular immigration. India says always open to return, right? As we all discussed. So from the past few days we're discussing this migration has become a kind of issue between India and US relationship. As you all know, Indian community is one of the prosperous community in US, and we are getting a lot of remittances out of it, right? And they are also one of the influential community, right? And we have also issues with respect to illegal migration, so that became a cause of concern. This we are already discussing from the past few days, so just tap the issue. See this one, special task force, right? This was established especially for the purpose of dealing with the crimes in Uttar Pradesh. Understood that? So it is fighting against these criminals, but sometimes it is also costing heavy, especially in terms of death of its officials. That's what happened with respect to Inspector Sunil Kumar, right? While dealing with the criminal gangs, in the exchange of gunfire, he lost his life, right? So that's about that. See this one, the same, the continuation of the first, irregular immigration. Focus will be on deepening ties, especially over critical and emerging technologies, because yesterday in the first high level meeting among the foreign ministers, right, attended by our external affairs minister Jaishankar, different aspects got discussed along with this illegal immigration. They also discussed about this particular deepening of ties in critical and emerging technologies, defense and energy, right? But the major core focus is this illegal immigration and the tariffs in the Trump 2.0, right? So that is about this. That's what I highlighted here. Rest, it's just a continuation. So this we already discussed yesterday with respect to that Delhi Art Gallery. It put on showcase certain paintings of M.F. Hussain that some group of individuals felt it's a kind of insult to Hindu gods, especially this Lord Ganesh and Lord Hanuman, right? They filed a FIR against this Delhi Art Gallery, and eventually the art gallery has to withdraw these paintings. So that is about this particular issue. And see, this one is important, right? Dhanauri wetland in UP, right? Here again the conflict is between protecting environment on one side, development on the other side. So the government is planning for this airport, but locals arguing that here we have this Sarus cranes. So if any wetland, if it notified under Ramsar Convention, we have a convention called as Ramsar Convention, right? It is a Ramsar Treaty that was signed in Iran in 1971 that deals with protecting the wetlands. I think most of you might know it. So under which if any particular wetland is notified, it will be protected. Okay. So there will be some criteria that has to be followed. So now they want this Dhanauri wetland to be notified under Ramsar Wetlands Convention, so that it can be protected. So this kind of developmental initiatives will not encroach into wetlands. Understood. So that is about that. In the context of prelims, it is important. This Sarus cranes, this Dhanauri wetland. So NGT, National Green Tribunal, the one that deals with environment related violations. So it wants UP government to submit status updates with respect to this Dhanauri wetland, right? That's about this particular issue. Just tap it. Next, here not much, but see here, rupees 6 rupees for pen, 6,150 rupees to hire an elephant. So it is about election expenditure. As you all know, each candidate, whatever they are spending with respect to elections in the country, that has to be submitted to Election Commission. Election Commission also will be giving a detailed list of expenditure that has to be incurred and how much maximum expenditure each candidate can incur. Right, this will be notified by Election Commission. Why? Because later the candidate has to submit the reports. So on the basis of that, if you see here right now, as per the revised estimates on the basis of the recent inflation index, for assembly constituencies 40 lakhs, for Lok Sabha constituencies it is 95 lakh. as per the revised estimates. So accordingly, now as Delhi is going for assembly elections on February 5th, so further they release the list. Accordingly, the candidates has to spend. However, as you all know, there is an issue here. Though there is a upper ceiling for candidates expenditure, but there is no upper limit for party expenditure. Parties can spend how much ever they feel like, right? So that's why when it comes to electoral expenditure, it is always an issue, right? Electoral funding, that's why we have committees like Dinesh Goswami committee, Indrajit Gupta committee, right? So different committees argued for reforms in electoral funding, because there comes the manipulation with respect to voters. So in that context, this particular issue is important in GS paper 2, governance, especially with respect to elections. These candidates in jail for 2020 riots, their kin enter political arena. So it is about the Delhi 2020 anti-CAA protests and subsequent riots. So in that context, so this one again important. See here the headline: Supreme Court delivers split verdict on Tahir Hussein's plea for interim bail to campaign in assembly polls. As you all know, if any candidate who got convicted, right, they cannot contest, like they cannot go for vote, right? But if the individual, right, lodged in jail, but they can contest elections, but they cannot vote, but they can contest elections. Understood that? So on the basis of this provision, this person named as this Tahir Hussain, he wants to, so not sorry, he is not from AMIM, All India Majlis-e Muslim Ittihadul Muslimin, right? This AMIM candidate, so he wants to contest elections for the upcoming Delhi polls, but because of the cases against him, he lodged in jail. Now he want to contest elections, so he can file a nomination. He can file his nomination, but the problem is now he wants to campaign for his election. But for that, the court objected. The two-member panel, so they objected it. Now they want to give they want to transfer it to the 3-judge bench. So the 2-judge bench gave a split verdict. One said yes, we can allow. The other one said, but the major concern they raised here is, will open floodgate of litigation. If we give this option for every candidate who lodged in jail to go and campaign for elections, right? Everyone will file a nomination papers, and they, in the name of nomination to contest elections, they will go out. So it may open flood of litigations. That's the cause of concern the court has expressed. So this we need to tap. So that's the reason I have to highlight this. See here, that's what they mentioned. Since elections in the country are all year around, every under trial would come up with the plea that he wants to contest and participate in the election, and therefore he may be granting interim bail. So that's the cause of concern here. Next, see this one, important. Parakram Divas, right? Why do we celebrate Parakram Divas? To celebrate the birth date of Subhash Chandra Bose. See this one, next again important. Quad message to China: oppose any action to alter status quo. See here, first, immediately after Trump took oath as the president, right, the first meet of the foreign, the first task of this foreign secretary, what's his name, Marco Rubio, right, the first task him was that to meet all the foreign ministers of different countries, right. So India also attended, and their main concern here is they want to deal with China, especially in that Indo-Pacific region. So that's what they mentioned. India will be so directed China and its asset to behavior in Indo-Pacific region from Taiwan to Sino-India borders. So now definitely when it comes to this particular issue dealing with China, we can expect that both India and USA will be on the same page, right? And another important aspect here, this year India will be hosting the Quad Leaders Summit. Okay, so in this context also I feel this is important. We should understand that particular meeting. Next, just besides that, if you just have a look at it, US exit from WHO will hit response to future outbreaks. As we already discussed yesterday also, USA wants to withdraw from WHO by arguing that the amount of funds and expertise US is providing, it is not getting the commensurate returns from it, especially the COVID-19, the way WHO dealt COVID-19 issue, right? USA's core point here is it is more favoring the China. But here our WHO scientist Soumya Swaminathan, I think you know Soumya Swaminathan, right? She is the daughter of MS Swaminathan. So Soumya Swaminathan's point is that there is no alternative to WHO when it comes to global health security. So as of now, there is no alternative institution that deals with it, right? And another point, when it comes to, if there is an issue within WHO, right, we must try to focus on how to strengthen it rather than coming out of it. Because if USA wants to come out of it, it's not just the world is losing the expertise and funds from USA. In turn, USA also will be at the losing end. Why? It will lose. It will be disconnected from getting data from WHO. Right. So on one side there is no alternative to WHO. On the other side, US also will be losing, like by losing connection with WHO, it will be losing access to data. Right. Though there are some other organizations, like suppose you mentions, if you see here, organization like Global Alliance for Vaccine Immunization and Global Fund, there are organizations available, but their scope is very limited. So that's why we need to strengthen WHO rather than coming out of it. That's what WHO scientist Soumya Swaminathan's point, right? That is about that. Next one, see this: India on track to meet SDG health, right? Poverty, hunger, health, education, gender equality, goal number 3, right? Sustainable development goals. So in this context, India will be reaching its target. That's what our union minister has to say. So in this context, they also mentioned about like how we reached our goals, especially with respect to maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate, with respect to disease programs like TB, malaria, Kala-Azar, dengue, list of diseases. So we must need to understand like how government is taking action with respect to health. But however, there is a small point here with respect to expenditure on health, still it is very much less in India, right? The target is to cross more than 2.5% of the GDP. Some countries even spending 4%, right? Some countries even spending 6% of their budget on health, right? But still when it comes to health infrastructure, health insurance, right, access to health, still we have challenges, especially rural and tribal pockets. So that we have to understand in the context of this particular issue, right? Next one, see this one: government raises raw jute MSP by 6%. Why I highlighted this? For jute also we have a separate MSP, right? So in that context, we just need to understand this Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Who chairs Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs? Prime Minister. So they will be taking the final decision. That's why I highlighted this. And another important point, see this one: why should there be whips? Vice President says practice restricting lawmakers' freedom. You know, earlier Vice President Venkaiah Naidu, he also, before his retirement, he also while giving lectures spoke about anti-defection law, right? Current Vice President also indirectly he is speaking about that. Why? Under this whip, what is, every political party will have a party whip. What is the role of this party whip? The role of the party whip is to regulate the members of that particular party. Suppose for example, if any particular bill is introduced either in the parliament or state legislature, right, to get support for the bill, the whip will be issuing, right, the whip will be issuing an order that has to be followed by all the members. If anyone violates it, it may lead to suspension from the membership and eventually losing the MLA or MP position. Understood? That much power whip is having. Because of that power, see here what the Vice President has to say. Why should there be a whip? Whip means you are curtailing expression, you are curtailing freedom, you are subjected to representative servility. You don't allow such person to use his or her mind, right? when you use whip, there is no persuasion, right? Here he gave a comparison with what you call US. In US, what he mentioned, in US, the party whip's role is to gauge how many legislatures are in support of a bill and how many are opposed to it, and to an extent possible persuade them to vote according to party line. So there you have to pursue them, right? You have to pursue, you have to convince them. You shouldn't force them. Understood that? So in a democratic country, especially in a country like India, where we have parliamentary democracy, in a parliamentary democracy, the most powerful person is the legislature, because it is the legislatures, among some of the legislatures, some will become the ministers. Without legislature support, nobody can become minister. Understood that? So but by having this positions like whip, it is curtailing the freedom of the legislature. That's what Vice President has to say. Next, see this one. Supreme Court slams Assam over foreigners detention, right? So when you detain somebody, you must follow the rules. Here with you are not disclosing for what, on what reasons you detain these individuals. When we ask, you are saying it is under sealed cover. If it is under sealed cover, if we ourselves do not know for what purpose you detain them, so it is not fair. So you must be transparent enough. That's what Supreme Court has to say to Assam with respect to this detaining of the foreigners. Especially here the issue is with respect to Bangladesh. This is again the update of UC's rules of Uttarakhand, right? No change in resolution of personal disputes for now. So with respect to personal disputes, still there are no rules were not framed. Still they will be going with the old rules. But as you all know, except for the tribes, for rest of the community, Uttarakhand government came up with this UC's Uniform Civil Code, especially with respect to their marriage, divorce and live-in relationships, right? So that is about that. Next, see this. DRDO conducts key scramjet test in major steps towards hypersonic missile. As you all know, hypersonic missile means going more than Mach 5, right? That is the next advanced missiles we are planning to have for ourselves. Right now we have the sonic and the supersonic. Next is the hypersonic. Hypersonic means into 5 times of the velocity of the sound, Mach 5. Okay. For that we need effective scramjets. You know scramjets, right? The utility of scramjet is, right, if the jet is moving, right, whatever air that contacts this particular ramjet, right, so it will be utilizing the air rather than like it will be utilizing the oxygen within that air, right, thereby reducing the fuel cost. So that's what it mentions here. Now in the DRDO indigenously planning for this kind of scramjet. So once it becomes fully successful, right, then it will be helping us to go for this hypersonic missiles. So then we will be entering into a powerful club of countries having these hypersonic missiles. So in that context you have to understand this. If you have any issue, if you have any lack of clarity with respect to scramjet, just let me know, then I can do a detailed video on this. Sorry. Next, government will be ready to conduct new ways of determining sex, because with the approaching of technology, right, now especially to control this selective sex determination techniques, in India we banned it, especially to reduce the gap between male and female ratio, right. So in this context, BJP party president JP Nadda has to say this, right. So government is planning to come up with newer ways to control this sex determination techniques. The reason why I highlighted this, Goa lost first CM, you just need to know about it, right. Goa got independence from Portuguese way back in 1960s. So for that, initially it was called as Union Territory, later in 1980s it got the statehood, right. So before that also it used to have legislative assembly. Further, the first CM was Dayanand Bandodkar, but here the issue is one of the political party member has to say that the first chief minister of Goa, he was allergic to statehood, right? Initially there were talks about merging Goa with Maharashtra, but later when the resolution was passed, most of the governments want to stay independent of Maharashtra rather than being merged with it. So that's how eventually Goa became a separate state. Understood that? So in that context, it's a kind of local political tussle, but what we need to understand is this little background. And see this one, this is very heinous. In 2021, rape, murder of tribal girl, court sentences 5 to death. You know, it's very brutal, right? One tribal girl, right? 2 grandchildren, her mother and her father. They were all waiting at a nearby tree for a bus, right? Some culprits, these 5 culprits, 2 of them, they offered a bike ride. Understood? So in that, father, this girl and one grandchild, right? These 3 sat on one person's bike. Her mother and another one, they sat on another person's bike. In the middle, one person dropped her mother and the other child at another place. This girl, her father and the grandchild, these 3 were trapped and they were taken to another place. There, in front of her father, she was brutally raped. Later, the most tragic thing, her father was stabbed to death along with the grandchild. Later, this girl also lost her life. So this is the most tragic thing happened while I was reading. Even I felt quite ashamed to read it. Right? It's the most cruel thing happened. That's the reason. See what the judge has to say. See the words of the judge while giving death penalty. Yesterday we discussed about this rarest of rare cases. So this was considered as rarest of rare cases because we discussed about the Bachchan Singh incident. So it's bestial and cowardly because they have killed 3 innocent and weak people for the purpose of satisfying their lust, which has shocked the collective conscience of entire society. The judge said, therefore, this court has no option but to choose exception of death penalty instead of general rule of life imprisonment. And another thing is, these people belong to a PVTC community. The girl, the tribal girl who got raped, she belongs to this Korva community. Korvas, right now, they are in the PVTGs. Very few people are there. Understood that? So when these kind of incident occurs, so I feel like at least we must pay some attention to that. So we might know, we don't know whether we are in a position to mourn or not, but at least if we feel it, at least something that much we can do. Next, so this is here. The important thing is National Capital Region Transport Corporation, NCRTC. I think you know this one. Especially we have this NCR region. NCR region means Delhi, surrounding Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, right? See here. They came up with this regional rapid transport system. Already they have Delhi Metro, but to further increase the transport capacity, so that to decongest Delhi. So they came up with this National Capital Region Transport Corporation, right, under which union government will be owning 15%, rest will be owned by Rajasthan, UP and Haryana. But here CAG, red flags, expenses. That means this collective collaboration, the amount they are spending is not good, right? We should understand that. So this is what we have to understand from this particular issue. Next, so this see has already been discussed. Amicably resolve issues of Chhattisgarh past as burial. Yesterday also we discussed. Supreme Court said amicably resolve it. See this. This is with respect to disquiet in NDA over UGC draft rules. As we already discussed, these UGC draft rules giving like broader powers to pick vice chancellors to chancellors, that is the governors. So that means central government will be taking more powers with respect to appointing the vice chancellors to universities. So it is undermining federalism. It would undermine federalism and higher education sector. That's what the opposition rule states are arguing for. Same JDU's NDAC ally, BJP's ally JDU also flags a concern over this particular issue, right? So this is what here we should understand. See, this is about this particular article, walls of America. Right, as Trump pushes anti-immigration agenda, how this anti-immigration agenda will be costing Trump, right? Experts argument here is it may cost 30 billion to 10 billion close to US dollars. Similarly, it will be hampering the what you call that as innovation, the GDP growth, because if you stop the best minds, right now America is what it is right now, it is one of the reasons will be the immigrants. Most of the world's best talent, the drain of minds from another country, right, will be going to US because of the best ecosystem. So with this kind of policies, it may hamper that innovation. Most of the best innovation, health sector, even IT sector, it happened because of best minds, right, that worked in US, as mostly the immigrant minds. If this kind of policies comes up, it may hamper that growth. That's what they are cautioned, especially with respect to Indian American community, right, as highly influenced community. Just now we just mentioned 1.47 percentage there in US right now. Illegal migration, right, that can be a cause of concern, that can be stopped. But if you are stopping this kind of trying to control these birth rates, so it may hamper the growth. That's what this article says. Rest all okay, you can so this is here, see, as India raised concern with respect to this hydro dam, now China is planning for on this Brahmaputra river, there they call that the Erling Zangbo, right. So when we raise this concern, and the Chinese foreign affairs person, he has to come and say that it won't hurt the sentiments, so all is well. But frankly speaking, all is not well. So this is with respect to that Sanjay Rai's life imprisonment. That Sessions Court, it gave life imprisonment for the Sanjay Rai, but CBI wants to go for death penalty. That's why it is moving to High Court seeking death penalty for Roy. So that is just an update. See this one, quarter 2 more students die of suicide. So frequently we are hearing about this particular kind of cases, especially this is very much important in the context of mental health. In GS paper 1 we have Indian society. So in that context, this kind of pressurized education, up to what extent it is useful for the student. So how they are taking, right? If they have to handle the pressure, what kind of initiatives we need to take care. So this we have to understand by this kind of incidents whenever we come across in the newspapers. Next, so this is about what you call India's rainbow politics, how different political parties using different colors and eventually justifying that. Few days back we discussed about why Ambedkar used to wear blue color coat, why he opted blue color. Now Rahul Gandhi is opting the white color, right? Different political parties like this Telangana BRS political party, it opted pink color, right? Telugu Desam party, it opted yellow color. So different political parties opted different colors and they have some justifications. I will be providing a chart, right, in the Telegram. If you want, you can have a look at that. See this one, Trump announces 500 billion private sector investment in AI infra. So they are heavily planning for artificial intelligence. That also we discussed in recently when they came up with this AI GPUs, the processing units. They have chosen 18 LS. In that they didn't choose India. They kept India in the second list. That means first with the 18 LS they will be cooperating in terms of technological transfer, but when it comes to India there will be some regulation. So that also kind of challenge with respect to collaboration in terms of technology transfer with India, between US and India. But here Trump announced 500 billion private investment. That means they are planning very much big here. Right. So this is with respect to trade. See here again with respect to trade also we have a cause of concern here. Why? Because with respect to India, right, we have a trade deficit. That means we are exporting more. So US is having a trade deficit. It is our largest trading partner. Okay. So, Trump's concern here is now as US is importing more from India, they want to put some kind of regulation with respect to tariff. So, that may become a cause of concern for us in the days ahead. This is, we have to wait and see. But this is important in the context of prelims, especially you have to go through with this data, especially the chart. What, like which fuel we are importing highest? India's oil demand likely to hit yet another record in 2025-26. But if you see here, highest is diesel. One is diesel, two is petrol, next LPG, next aviation turbine fuel, net petcoke and others. At least remember the sequence. First few, what are the fuel that we are importing, among them what is the sequence? So, in that context it is important. Again see this one, restaurant flags concern at Zomato, Swiggy entry into private labeling dining. That means these are the platforms, by taking advantage of it, they themselves coming up with the separate what you call with private labeling, they themselves coming up with food delivery. The platform that should only offer platform for restaurants itself opens a restaurant. So, don't you think it creates a kind of unlevel playing field, uneven playing field? Understood that? That's what these restaurateurs at this National Restaurant Association of India, right? There they are arguing for. So, in the context of e-commerce, quick commerce, to be frank, the challenges in that context we have to understand this. So, this we already discussed yesterday. World Bank mentioned that neutral expert decision on IWT. So, this neutral aspect will take a decision when it comes to any kind of issue between India and Pakistan with respect to Indus Water Treaty, right? No, you no need to go for any other authority to deal with this particular issue, and at the same time here it will be dealing with this Kishanganga and Ratel projects. Yesterday we discussed about that, right? If you want, today I will be just releasing a PDF regarding this in our Telegram. If you want, you can have a look at it, because we already discussed this particular issue. So, this one drill baby drill. So, this is with respect to they are planning for, America is planning for more of hydrocarbon explorations, right. So, this particular one, French fries grown in India. As you all know, here the keyword is contract farming, especially in states like Gujarat. These private companies, like especially companies like PepsiCo, right, they used to have a market, they used to have a contract with the farmers, and this company itself will provide like what kind of seeds it's need, and farmers will be growing it, eventually the company will be taking it. So, this is how it helped a lot of farmers. So, if there is an effective regulation, contract farming will be helping lot many farmers, but the challenge here is having an effective regulation, or else farmers will be at the losing end. That's why in most of the places farmers are having this worry with respect to contract farming. If a private player comes in, it's fine, but there must be proper regulation, or else most of the farmers in India are the small and marginal farmers. You know, I think 84% of the country's farmers are small and marginal. So, in that context it is important. Just broadly just get an idea. See this one, tiger as gifts. In the recent past in Nepal, the tiger population got increased, right? But the eventual outcome is now tiger attacks on people also got increased, eventually taking almost 40 plus lives in Nepal. So, now the solution, though it is little controversial, what the KP government said, that why can't we give some of the tigers as gifts to other countries? So, it is what we call as the Shikhar diplomacy. So, we will be giving these tigers. So, if anybody wants to pet them, they can pet it, or if any country wants to keep in their jewels, that is also fine. But the problem here is, if you are really giving for the, if you are handing over for any kind of petting, in that case we must be careful. Why? Because initially they may need for some time. After that, so how long they will take care of it? What about its health, right? So, what about, so most of the people might be, they will be taking these tigers only for breeding. They may do business out of it. So, that's why, as it is an animal, it is having its own emotions, we should have an understanding regarding this. That's why it became little controversial, tiger as a gift. So, this is what we have to understand. Earlier, this Nepali tigers, it was It used to be a kind of hunting ground for Britishers. So next, Trump vows to hit EU, China with fresh tariffs. Beijing says open to discussion. So it will go on, but see here, the people, the SoftBank and this Oracle founder and OpenAI CEO. So all these people, they have they were having discussions with Donald Trump. You can just understand what these people will be doing in the coming days ahead. Next, Church Bishop, she has to say that protect migrants and uphold LGBTQ rights, because yesterday Trump said, well, after taking oath, there will be only two genders, male and female. That means the rights of this LGBT community will be sidelined along with immigrants. So that's the cause of concern for most of the people. See this one here. So the sunfish, when the Japan's aquarium got closed, then it stopped eating. So the fish having some kind of bond with people, because everyday visitors used to come, and it used to give some kind of entertainment even for the fish because of that interaction. Suddenly when the aquarium closed for kind of what you call renovation, the fish stopped eating. So what these Japanese people did, they, if you just see here near the cardboard cutouts, people in uniform they just kept their uniforms and some masks, so that the fish, at least it feels like somebody watching it. Then it started eating. You can just understand the kind of emotional connect here between the sunfish and the people. Next, next is sports news. Rest all. That's it for the day. All right. Thank you.